All right. So it looks like I believe it's streaming, and it's kind of weird. I don't really have a lot of experience with YouTube, so here we are. I'm gonna close this, but at least here I can kind of see um, a chat box. So with the moon being so bright that tonight. I figured I'd just set up the moon for lunar observing and use the Seestar. Um, I just finished up a quick live broadcast on my Facebook page. The interesting thing about the Seestar is, ZWO does a pretty good job of getting updates out, and sometimes those updates don't go well. And when that happens, ZWO also does a pretty darn good job um, releasing fixes. The last time this happened was maybe a week or so ago, and they got the fix out the day people saw were having issues. That's first rate, in my opinion. Now, I've owned numerous ZWO cameras. I have the AM5 mount and the ASI Air Plus, and I haven't actually used that my AM5 and ASI Air for some time because I started with a new company back in December, and so I'm being the new kid on the block with the company. I just don't have a lot of time or hours set up to where I could, you know, take advantage of, of using that gear. But the Seastar has allowed me to enjoy setting up. I mean, 5 to 7 minutes, and I'm done. But this past weekend, I learned a couple of things about the Sea Star. For the last maybe month or so, I was having issues simply going to the moon with the Sea Star. I would have to coax it along, put it into the center and things like that. And it started getting worse, And this weekend, I simply, okay, how about if I just reset? And I don't mean using the reset button on the Sea Star. But what I did was I simply disconnected the battery underneath, let it stay disconnected for a few minutes, and then reconnected it. And tonight was the first time of using it again, and it performed flawlessly. It went right to the moon with no issues. Didn't have to coax nothing. I did have to do a quick leveling of it. Other than that, it's done well. The other thing I learned about the Sea Star is Saturday, I took the Sea Star out to Cannon Air Force Base at their library. They hosted us to come out and set up our telescopes. And we had a lot of rain the night before, and I was concerned more about dew and moisture build up at night. Um, and so I just brought the Sea Star instead of and I had hoped to have brought my other some of my other gear, but I I said, heck, I think the Sea Star will do fine. Well, there's a lot of lights out by the Cannon Library, and of course you got the BX park, lights as well. And it did well for the moon. I mean, it did go to the moon with relatively little issue. I hadn't yet disconnected the battery at that point, but I didn't have any really major issues going to the moon. Now, later on, there's only so much of the moon that, should be able to see what else is in the sky. But because of all the lights, the Sea Star really couldn't go to anything. I mean, it really couldn't find anything. Because, typically when I set this up, as I am right now, it's really in my backyard. And, I have a big tall fence. And in fact, I'll show you a quick picture of. of that. Let me see if I can go without, here it is. And that's it. It's on a little cement pad, and I can probably, yeah. So you can see I have this fence back here. It blocks a lot of light, and it's real convenient to have it out right out there. And I'm using a not the standard tripod that came with this the Seestar, but a three-pod aluminum tripod, which is very easily configurable. Um, I have it kind of low, but it's still more higher than the standard stock tripod that comes with the case. And not to say that that tripod is poor quality. It's actually a really nice little tripod. But here we go. And I got to tell you, resetting it or disconnecting the battery and putting it back, it really it went to the moon flawlessly. I mean, just perfectly. And we've been having some wind, so you may see some movement of the moon. And I'm going to do another, as it's doing right now, as a matter of fact. So I'm just going to click on here, hit autofocus, and here we go. That's my Quaker parrot, Petey. All right. So this is actually, for a 50 millimeter refractor that's built into the Seestar, this is actually very pleasing. It'd probably be better if the wind wasn't blowing and you get a little bit more detail out of it. And I'm going to go with auto here. The reason I like to go manual is if I'm going to image, I don't want these areas here to be bleached out. Okay. So now I'll just do another quick video. I'm in video mode and I've already got raw selected. So I'm just going to do a quick video. And as I mentioned earlier on the Facebook page, I have a 2-year-old grandbaby and she just loves the moon. So whenever she's staying with us, of course, we we have to show videos on YouTube and especially on my channel, of course, of videos of the moon. And she was watching one of my videos where it was of the lunar eclipse and it had the blood moon on there. Well, she was just crazy about that. I said, I want to see the pink moon. And I just got real tickled with that. But it's amazing how even at that age, we can um, impact, we can have an impact on the little ones coming up with their interest in, what they see in the sky just by looking up. They want to know more, they want to see more. And so I hope she never loses that fascination with the moon. So because this moon is so big and bright, I'm really not going to do much else. However, I would like to point out some additional stuff that might enhance your viewing of the sea star. One of which is um, the Virtual Moon Atlas, available for on your PC for download. It's been around for a number of years, and if you've got ASCOM set up, you can actually control your mount with this software as well. But what's neat about this is I can zoom out, and we can and click on any part of the moon, and it'll tell me what it is. Plato, Copernicus. And down here, I want to say that's not it. How about that? That's Tycho. Yeah. All right. And there's other views of the surface that you can set up as well. And of course, you got the mountains here. All right. And it'll tell you what they are. And one of the other things that I really like, let's see. See, this is where I was telling you. You can set it up with DASCOM if you want to. Information. Let's see. Measure the distance. All right. So I want to know how far it is from Plato to Copernicus, and it will tell you. Isn't that cool? And that's just one of the, the many things that you can do. And if you're going back on there and click on information tab here, it will give you a little bit of information on here. And I say a little bit. That looks pretty extensive, but isn't that cool? And it's free. And like I said, the Virtual Moon Atlas has been around for a long time. It's been around for at least as long as I've been in the hobby, which goes back to 2012. Well, that is so cool. Now, another piece of software you might have heard about, and again, um, this is Stellarium, all right, and I'm going to zoom in. We got it on the moon, okay, but it's a planetarium. It is free, okay, and I dearly love this thing. Now, you can download it as a uh, app for your smartphone, but you really get a lot better benefit on a PC. All right, because I this is how I have learned try to learn the night sky, especially if we're going to have an observing event for the communities of Clovis and Portales, and um, I just love observing this. But and since I'm here, and also since I see it, if you have a view, if you have a Seestar, or any telescope for that matter, and you have a view of the southern horizon, you want to train your scope on this target right here. It's called the Omega Centauri globular cluster. And, it's so much bigger than M13 or M92, M3, M5, M4. It's huge. I'm gonna zoom in on that. And granted, Stellarium could probably do a little bit better job than not have this, but look how far this is outstretched. Now, comparison, let's go. Let's try it. Rose cluster M5. That's a good one. Okay. It's not anywhere near as big. And I've actually got an image. These are all the clusters that I've taken. I'm going to show you the, this is just the image of the globular cluster with, no processing, no processing. But this is with it processed. And then contrast that with M92 or M13. So if you do get, like I said, if you get a good view of the southern horizon, it's low, as you can see, it's very low, but it is well worth your time and effort to try to find it. Okay, so let's go back to the Seestar. And this has been a great great little addition to my Astro gear. I got this in mid-November of 2023 and had a lot of great clear skies and through the remainder of November and not too many nights in December, but January it picked up. And 5 to 7 minutes. I mean, literally, I set it down on the ground, turn it on, connect it to my phone, and tell it which object I want to see, and it goes to it. There's no alignment necessarily there. It does have the leveling sensors built into it, and um, and when you do start imaging deep space object, it has to do a couple of frame calibration or dark frame calibration, and it it does that on its own. So you can see the wind picking up here, AP. Well, I don't want to drag on here because especially since I'm not really doing anything more than lunar observing with the ZWO, Seestar. Also, I do not get paid anything from ZWO. I simply enjoy this hobby and I simply enjoy um, providing information on about something that works generally very well. And um, you will seldom find astronomy gear that works really, really well. 99% of the time, at least this is my experience with the Seastar. I can tell you I have a far more expensive gear that has not performed this well consistently. So, well, folks, that's going to be it for me. I hope you have a good uh, evening and a great rest of your week, and take care.